Okay, at this time I'll call the order to June 8th, 2026 council meeting to order. Please rise if you can for the allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Make a motion to adopt tonight's agenda.
Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Is there any, okay. Move into the public forum. Derek Lynn? Please state your name, address, and everything.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Derek Lind. I live in Ramsey. I'm with ACIT, the Anoka County Election Integrity Team. Not sure if you guys recognize me. I've been here a few times. I've got 7 copies. Should be the 5 council members, city administrator, and the attorney. Tonight, the topic again is the poll pads. I've been up here before talking about poll pads. The reason I'm here is we've had a couple of developments in this case. I'm not going to read through that packet. You can take that home and look at that in your own time. We were trying to talk you guys into going back to paper poll pads and following the city of Oak Grove. The county came out with a felony threat and tried to stop Oak Grove. Well, recently, the Upper Midwest Law Center filed suit against the county, the Secretary of State, and a couple of members at the county there. So Upper Midwest Law Center, not sure if you're familiar with that law firm. They're a nonprofit law firm. They took that pro bono. They took the case on their own dime, and they're going to represent Oak Grove. And that petition goes, there's information on that in the packet. That petition goes, I think it goes straight to the Supreme Court. I'm not real good at that. Maybe your attorney. I don't know. He can maybe answer that better than I can. That's the first piece of news. The second piece of news is Liz Collin came out with the movie Minnesota Mile. And ACIT, our group, was featured in that movie. And in that movie, we talk about this case. We talk about the felony threat, Oak Grove, and the poll pad. So just wanted to make you aware of the court case. That's significant. And then secondly, ask you to watch the movie Minnesota Mile and that segment that's in there. We emailed that to you and I texted it to your phone numbers too. And the information is in the packets there too. Real quick on the felony threat, what's interesting about that is this is a letter that the county sent out. And it says if you use paper poll pads, it's a felony. It's an unsigned letter. 6 months later, the election manager came out and said that he sent it. Now, what's interesting about that is almost the entire letter is a legal argument. So how does an election manager write a legal argument? And secondly, how does an election manager threaten citizens with a felony? And of course, UMLC says they don't even think he's reading the statutes correctly. We tried to tell the county that you're misreading the statutes. We felt that Oak Grove had the authority to go back to paper. But they kind of brushed us off. So that's where we're at. I'm asking you guys to watch those movies, look at that lawsuit, and consider going back to paper poll pads. The reason for that is because we can trust paper. I can't tell you if you can trust electronic poll pads. Maybe they're good, maybe they're not. We don't know. It's a third-party vendor. But I think we all can agree that you can trust a piece of paper. It just sits there. So that being said, you guys have any questions for me? I know you probably weren't expecting me to come in prepared for any questions, but if you do have any questions, the last page of that packet has our website and our contact information. So we feel that this is going to be a city-led movement. If you're waiting for the state or the county to fix this problem, it ain't going to happen. It has to come from you guys. There's probably 10 things wrong with our elections right now. You guys are responsible for 2. Counting of the votes, which you already passed the PER. Thank you for doing that. You guys did that a couple of years ago. And going back to paper poll pads. After you do that, you're done. There's nothing more you can do. It's up to the state. So, no questions?
Well, I have a question.
Sure.
Do you think these poll pads are interfering anywhere way out in Anoka County? I mean, is there any evidence of anything like that?
We have no evidence. We have no evidence because we can't tell what they're doing. It's a third-party vendor. We're not allowed to see inside of them. It's completely electronic. Can't see. Now, if it was paper, we could look at the paper and say, hey, there's something here. Paper leaves a mark. you know, any kind of edits or changes is always gonna be, you know, something that you can audit on paper, but no, we have no evidence that there's any problems.
Yeah, I just haven't seen, it seems like the problems are in more congested areas than out here, so,
Oh, you're talking about your population?
yeah.
Well, I mean, what I think is interesting is the felony threat, the reaction by the county. And I talk about that in the movie. It's why the over-the-top reaction? Why not just say, go ahead, Oak Grove? Oak Grove, I think, has about 8,000 people, let's say 4,000, 6,000 voters. They wanted to go back to paper. Why did the county care so much? Obviously, they did. They threatened with the felony. By the way, that letter didn't go just to them. It went to everybody. You guys got the letter, too. I believe it went to your election clerk. So, thank you for the question, though. Any other questions?
All right, thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Dustin? Name and address, please.
My name is Dustin Kiyomishi, 4904 217th Avenue Northeast, East Bethel. That's where the temple is. So should I explain that what we're trying to do? It was a different format the last time.
It's a little different, if I may, Mayor.
Well,
Yeah.
why don't you hold off on talking now until we bring that up,
Okay,
and then you can comment.
okay.
Because actually, you don't need to be on the public forum, because during the process, you can come up and talk about it.
Okay, should I go back?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that'd be the same with you, Nicole. You just wait until we go through the process, then you can come up. All right? Thank you. All right, thank you. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second, and I need to abstain from B and C.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
I want to pull C.
And I'd like to pull A.
C and A, and you're abstaining from
A.
B and C.
B and C. You're pulling them or abstaining from them?
Well, why don't you just pull them and then you can abstain.
Okay, I'll pull them.
Okay. So A, B, and C we're pulling. All right. With that said, all those in favor of the amended consent agenda?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Item A.
I'll be abstaining from the bill list, so if someone would like to make a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve item A.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes, there is. I do have a question on a few here. What is the $27,000 bill on Viking Meadow? I haven't seen one that high. Going to
Are you talking about the,
Hackinson Anderson. I've got an engineering fee of $27,000.
that would be the responsibility of Capstone Homes. So that's a pass-through. Engineering work done in there.
Probably on the second phase there.
Right. Yeah, I did have one other question here, bear with me. Nope, that was it on the second page, going to them. Is there any way we can get that marked a little different so it would indicate that it's a pass-through on some of these things? Because it looks like it's a bill the city's paying. Just for future, think about it, but it would
Yeah,
make it easier.
we'll give it some thought, see what we can do.
Thanks.
Any other discussion?
Nope.
Motion and a second on item A. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
None heard. Item B.
I'll make a motion to approve item B.
I'll be abstaining.
Yep.
Second. We have a motion and a second with Susanna stating. Any further discussion? None being heard. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, item C.
Matt,
page 22, line 25 and 29, it says Berglund noted. Berglund wasn't there. It was Eric Larson.
Yep.
So that needs to be changed. And I'm concerned with, like, every time we got minutes, if you don't read through there, there's a lot of different things that aren't listed or they're listed wrong. So I'm kind of, I mean, just for this sort of example, it's like, if you listen to the meeting, you should have known right off the bat that Eric Larson was sitting there.
Yeah. Mr. Mayor and Council, I think the primary concern and also change that we'll need to have is under present, they had Scott Berglund, which there's no Scott Berglund, but Eric Larson,
Right.
they didn't understand that was Eric Larson in there. So that kind of precipitated into their notes calling Berglund. So we'll,
Yeah.
we'll get that changed to Larson.
I noticed that on line 10, also present, Scott Berglund is listed.
Yeah, that was my question, who is that?
Right. Okay, yeah, I'll make a motion to approve item C on the consent agenda.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? None being heard, all in favor? Aye.
Abstain.
Opposed? One abstain, all right. Going down to item 8A, community development.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council, again. All right. Again, the request before you this, get it to work. The request before you this evening is a variance associated with replacement of failing system at 255 Laurel Road as submitted by owners Nicole and Curtis Lindbergh. On the screen, you see a general area. This is in the Coon Lake District. Their property is approximately 100 by 100 square, and the image on the screen shows an approximate location for their proposed septic field. So that kind of gives you a context of it. I'm going to just show you briefly this is the front of their home, this is where that green square was, and this is the site where the septic system is proposed to be installed, or the drain field, if you will, on the east side of the property. Again, it's a 100 by 100 square foot corner lot, and the applicants seek various setback changes or authorizations from the city ordinance and or the statute. Specifically, septic holding tanks are proposed to be 6 feet from a property line where 10 feet is normally required. Oh, that doesn't help. A drain field proposed to be 13 feet from the home where 20 feet is typically required, and down to 1 foot from the property line to the east where 10 feet is typically required. So that kind of sets the stage. Okay, maybe I'll just leave this one up for now. Okay. Staff of the Planning Commission reviewed the request on the city's variance standards contained in section 04-10. Based upon the application materials, the testimony received, the Planning Commission concluded that the practical difficulties are largely site-specific, arise from the property's relatively small size, the existing home and accessory structure locations, neighboring well locations, and separation distances required for the replacement of a septic system. Obviously, these constraints significantly limit placement options on the property. The current septic system is in the west side of the property, approximately here. Planning Commission also found that the request represents a reasonable use of the property because it is associated with the replacement of a failing system. serving an existing residence. No increase in density or change in use is proposed. Finally, the commission concluded that the approval of requested setbacks will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood, which will certainly will remain residential in character following the replacement of the system. I'm going to go back to, when we talk about some abutting properties, some things we will, when the application comes in, will be the location of abutting wells. This map shows 2 concentric circles, basically the red being the south limit of the septic field and the blue being the north limit of the septic field at a 100-foot radius. We don't know the nature of all the abutting wells. If it's a traditional or a shallow well, then it's a 100-foot radius. If it's a drilled well with a casing, then it's 50. So we are aware of the neighbor to the west has a shallow well, and it is outside of that 100-foot distance. We know the property to the northeast also does have a traditional drilled well, and that too is beyond 100 feet, but that would ordinarily be 50. When the applicants do submit for a final design, they'll have to review what's to the south and to the north, but this is the data we have today. But it'll depend on the nature of those wells.
So talking about wells, there is a proposed deep well for this property as well?
Yes, yep, and that is proposed to be shown on this drawing on the west side of the property here, and would exceed that 50-foot distance. I understand they're gonna have to abandon the current drain field, and as part of their proposed scope of work, because the old field also applies to that setback, so they'll have to remove that.
So the new proposed is an adequate distance?
Yes,
away?
yeah,
Right.
well more than 50 feet.
Okay.
So the planning commission made those 3 findings, that it meets the city's practical difficulties test. So in addition to that variance analysis, the planning commission also reviewed the request relative to Minnesota Rules Chapter 780, which governs individual sewer treatment systems. During that review, staff focused on ensuring that the action the city might take would remain consistent with applicable statutes. Minnesota rules do allow local governments to review and approve certain setback variances, but we may not waive the underlying septic performance standards found in Minnesota rules. I won't spare you the details there, and those are the things the city may not waive are parts A, B, C, and D. And in reviewing the application, it would seem the applicant and their contractor should be able to meet those tests, and we'll just touch base back on that in a minute. Ultimately, for that reason, the proposed resolution, but both by the Planning Commission and you folks tonight potentially, is sought to not simply just approve the setback reductions, and then to conclude the review process. Instead, the resolution includes a condition requiring the applicants to provide a final septic design and certification from a qualified and licensed professional demonstrating compliance with the statutes in general, but certainly A through D, which are non-waivable. This allows the City Council to consider the variance request based upon the practical difficulties presented by the property, while preserving the building official's ability to conduct final technical review and ensure there is a reasonable technical basis for permit issuance. Again, I and the Planning Commission are not those people capable of reviewing those designs, so we'll leave it to those professionals to make that determination. I understand there's been a letter placed at your desk. One of the things the city has contacted and communicated both with the Planning Commission and the applicant, that a letter such as this and making those commitments which are matched what was found in your resolution, that they will comply with parts A through D, short of the setback changes. This image on your screen shows the typical 20-foot setbacks required structure for an absorption area, and that's essentially the major issue here, which we're trying to address. Other than that, in essence, the resolution 26-30, and there is a revised version placed at your desk, and I'll certainly leave it to the city attorney to talk about those amendments. But generally, the resolution approves the requested setback variances as they're justified upon the practical difficulties by the property, that the council generally has no objection to the concepts of the setbacks as shown, but it leaves the final technical review to the building official and qualified professionals responsible for septic design to ensure compliance. And so with that, Mayor and Council, that is our recommendation, the resolution as presented and revised with the version you have at your desk.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution 2026-30 septic system for 255 Laurel Road, PID number 36-33-23-12-0097.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
With the revised language, or?
Yes, with the revised.
Any further discussion? Existing septic tank, is that getting removed?
Yes, it must be removed.
I just wanna make sure, so in case they ever sell it,
Yeah.
somebody ain't gonna get hurt.
Yeah, it
with
has to come out, because they gotta put their new well in back in that corner,
Okay,
and so that'll be out of there. And I've been working with the Lindberghs, myself and Suzanne, city planner, and the septic guy on this whole thing, and this is basically the only place that we can put it. And, so I'm fine with it, planning commission was fine with it as well.
Yeah.
okay. Any further? Okay, we have a motion and a second to the amended resolution. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None heard. Motion passes. Item 2.
All right. Again, Mayor and Council, thank you. We have before you a site plan and administrative subdivision review for the property of 4904 217th Avenue Northeast to facilitate the construction of an accessory structure / shelter. The image on your screen is a general representation of the area. This structure here is the existing temple. This is the current parcel line, and the parcel to the west is smaller than the parcel to the east, and you'll see a change in that. But ultimately, it's designed, or the request here is to approve a site plan to allow the construction of a shelter at this point. It is a Buddhist temple, if you didn't know, obviously. But the current staff of the temple, the monks, if you will, and I apologize if I have that wrong, Dustin. So they live on this property and reside in these homes. So that's kind of the lay of the land. This is the slab that they constructed last year, and they typically erect a tent on this site, and they hold their festivals and their events outdoors. You can kind of catch to the south and west where the temple is. So I probably have a better picture of that. Oh, yep, there it is. So kind of look at the no green of the trees. So we've been talking about this for a while. So anyway. Okay. The existing parcel, or the property is where the temple sits, was given a CUP in 2022, and one of the requirements of that CUP, because the property is zoned rural residential for a house of worship, or place of worship, it's only by conditional use permit. And the council didn't grant that in 2022. But there is a condition on that CUP that said any new construction of permanent structures will be required through a site plan review process, and that's again the reason in part why you're here tonight. I'll just say that's the one I want. Here's the site plan in a little more detail. You've probably seen this in the past when the temple was initially constructed, but this is the location, and the structure itself is approximately 6,400 square feet, and it's an open-sided building, and basically we've probably all been in various parks and things, but that's the
So
That's-
it's essentially just a roof structure?
essentially correct. There's no additional parking, there's no additional lighting or anything proposed as part of this. Okay.
No worries.
The structure, again, is intended to provide covered gathering space for religious, cultural, ceremonial, fellowship, and community activities associated with the primary approved use of the property, the CUP, the place of worship. The applicant is not proposing any expanded parking areas, exterior lighting, new access drives, or any utility extensions as part of the request. The structure is as proposed, is already within a developed portion of the site and is intended to function as an accessory structure serving the existing temple use. So not a standalone facility, not to be rented out for third parties or the like. To create the most site flexibility for the temple site itself, as shown on the screen, the applicant proposes to combine the existing 20.27 acre, and that's kind of was the smaller lot. And that current lot line is about here, with adjoining 16.25 acre tract, creating a new 36.52 acre parcel, leaving the remaining separate parcel of 24.27 acres. The request qualifies as an administrative subdivision under Chapter 66. It is not a lot boundary adjustment. It is a lot boundary adjustment between existing parcels. It does not create additional lots. It does not increase residential density. It does not require any public roads or utility extensions, and results in parcels that meet the city's frontage and lot area requirements. But from a planning perspective, the subdivision does serve a couple other important purposes. One, it consolidates the temple campus and proposed shelter area into one common parcel. I mentioned that right now the monks live on this property, and what they might ultimately do with this lot is, we don't know, and maybe they don't know either, but the shelter will serve the temple, and to have that on a separate parcel with an unknown future, it's best to have that on the house of worship or the place of worship directly. And it remains subordinate to the temple itself. Second, the larger parcel increases the amount of accessory structure available under the rural residential zoning district regulations, and creates a more practical framework for the applicant in the end. I think they have some discussions in the future of maybe adding a residential piece here to the west side or someplace on the site, and have the monks move from these homes and maybe over here to something more contemporary, I guess, but it's just early conversations. So the planning commission reviewed the site plan, and approved that proposal. They were comfortable with its layout and form. And similarly, tonight, Mayor and Council, based on the application materials, the existing CUP, the proposed administrative subdivision, and the planning commission recommendation, staff finds the request consistent with the city subdivision regulations, the rural residential zoning district standards, and the conditions of the existing conditional use permit. So, we would recommend approval of resolution 2026-31, which approves the subdivision and the site.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2023-31.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Oh, I have some questions, because first, the property with the house is essentially giving the Temple property more land. So
Yes,
it's still, it's not 3 lots, it's 2 lots.
That is correct.
Okay. Because my other question is, isn't there a rule that a lot can only be split once?
We do.
And they already split it, so is this okay according to that rule?
Well, I don't know if I don't know the history of, these are currently all in meets and bounds description. Right now, this has not been platted, to the best of my knowledge. The city does have a rule in its ordinance that talks about if something's been split, it can't be split again. One of the challenges with that rule is it doesn't have any kind of timeline. It doesn't have any kind of parameter that says this was split in 1975, and how far back is the city going to be willing to look? If it was creating a different parcel with the intention of intensification of the property, I think you could make that case, or anybody could make the case saying, hey, no, you need to go through a platting process. But that is not what's happening here. It might have been split in the past. I am not aware of it. We didn't do a title search or any kind of that work. Far as I know, it's between a property owner amongst themselves of land they own.
Okay,
We haven't split it since we purchased it in 2018.
I know, but I thought it was split before that.
One of those things that maybe as the city looks at some of its ordinance updates in whatever future that is, it could clarify. Because to your point, you don't want people to say, well, I'm gonna split this now, and then I sell it off, and then somebody else wants to split it again to get around the platting or for development purposes. That certainly isn't what's happening here, but what you're saying is something that an ordinance wants to prevent. Some cities have a 5-year look-back window or a 10-year look-back window. You know, legacy properties with long-term owners, you know, they have children and they want to split it. And so how do you really judge those things? It's hard. But there is no timeline in your ordinance.
Yeah, and I don't really mind this. I know it's to help limit development on properties, so I don't really mind this. I just wanted to make sure it was not violating that particular rule, because I don't want to get in trouble in the future.
Neither do I, Mayor and Council. But one thing to note is maybe that's one clarification the city can take a look at is that timeline.
Right. Okay, I don't have anything else.
Did, you guys look into, this is in the significant environmental area? Do you realize that? And the reason I bring this up is because the 20 acres to the north of this deal, when I first came to me, she wanted to do a lot split, and the city was gonna force her to do a PUD in order just to do a lot split because she was in the significant environmental area.
We did, I don't know if that would
'Cause
change.
that's a protected area.
Yeah, I don't know if it would change the nature of a lot split. It might change how it's used. The fact that something might be zoned or have an overlay on it, let's see, I might have that drawing. One more map, I might have it. Yeah, this is it. So it's hard to see on this map, but the green hatched is this impacted or is this significant natural environment area.
Yeah, it goes through both of his properties.
Yep, and to the north. I mean, and in this case, when we looked at it, all of the land that this has already been graded, changed, you know.
Yeah, the
like-
reason I bring it up
yeah.
is because the resident to the north there was being told she had to put out all this money and go through a PUD. Oh, okay. Hi, Kay, I didn't even see you. I didn't
Well-
even see you, Kay.
We don't know what the exact proposal is until that you get that. It's hard to say what those, what,
Because she was trying to split her land.
yeah.
I had a much better conversation.
Good.
So we did look at it, again, where they're proposing is all well impacted. If you remember the picture, it was all cleared already, and I don't know what was there before the temple.
It was farmland.
Right.
The field, it was my great-grandparents' farm. So the trees were always there like they are now, and it's a field, farmland field.
So that's
Yeah, I
all.
just wanted to clarify that we looked at this and
Yep.
I didn't want to have her calling me tomorrow.
Well, again, I don't know if it's if it's the environmentally sensitive question for what their proposal might be, but we'll look at whatever they want to suggest.
Yeah, I've just,
Yeah.
first time I ever seen that part of the environmental deal was when she approached me on it, so.
Sure.
Any other further discussion? None being heard, there's been a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None heard, motion passes. All right, city administrator?
Mr. Mayor and Council, we got a couple of updates for you. On June 5th, the bonding bill was signed by the governor, so we have successfully secured $3 million from the state. Nothing is secured until it's actually signed, so that's good. That's across the finish line. Next year, we'll be going for $4.5 million, the balance. And I've already had conversations with the Senator Barr, that we may be looking at $6.5 million based on other reductions and construction inflation, that sort of thing. So he seemed to think that that was reasonable, given some of the reductions that have come in. I want to also report that we've successfully navigated and accomplished a domain name change through the U.S. federal government, which, believe it or not, is a heavy lift to try and get done. But anyways, we have not changed as of yet, but we're going to a .gov, and it'll be eastbethelmn.gov, so it'll be no more hyphenated, no more difficult to understand email address. So as we're changing the website and that, we'll be moving to that .gov, which will simplify matters as well. I wanted to say that we're just about a month out to the Booster Day Festival. I want to remind folks, if they want a booth, to contact the city. We can get that set up, or if they have a parade entry, to contact us as well. We'll put you in contact with the people that are actually coordinating that. And then finally, the newsletter, by all accounts, I think has been pretty well received with the changes. And we are selling ads for that. So if you're a business in East Bethel and you want to be in the new newsletter and a full color ad, now is your time. So we're more than willing to assist if businesses want to place ads in that. And that, of course, offsets the cost of it as well. So if council or mayor, you guys know of businesses that might benefit from that, be sure to send them our way and we'll sign them up. Aside from that, that concludes my report unless there's questions.
Nope. Council reports.
So I got Booster Day meeting on Wednesday. I'd just echo what Mr. Look said, that it's coming up quick here. We're in the J months, June, July. So it's always a great time. Encourage people to come out to Booster Days. And if there's anybody that would like to volunteer on the day of, just for an hour or two, we will happily accept your volunteerism. Otherwise, we will be having the Booster Day meeting here Wednesday at 6:30, and Thursday I have a Sunrise River meeting.
Anybody else?
Okay, yep, I actually have a question regarding, businesses that are accused of dumping water into Cedar Creek, and photos of that business have, torn up tennis courts where if somebody were to play tennis, they would probably trip because there's grass and weeds growing through the cracks. Does the city automatically go to businesses and do safety inspections like that? Or do they have to be called in or complaint based, or how does that work?
Mr. Mayor and Council, to answer that two different ways. First of all, if we receive a complaint, we'll follow up with that complaint. Or in this particular case, that property owner contacted the city and said that a lot of the pictures were AI pictures. They were not actual photos. And kind of gave a layout of this is where the, emptying of the pool goes and that sort of thing. It's not near the creek. It's not dumping directly into the creek.
Somebody went out there and confirmed that, or they just went with that person's word?
We went with that person's word.
Okay.
And we addressed this in the staff meeting as well last Tuesday, but essentially they are looking at harassment of the business, and they'd certainly like to identify who their harasser is to press charges. But so far they said that they were bouncing off of servers in some other country to try and avoid detection. So unfortunately, while it's a sensitive matter, I understand that. I don't know that they're necessarily operating illegally, and they shouldn't be harassed, by people that don't agree with their lifestyle and things of that nature. So.
Well, I agree with that, but I also think that somebody from the city should confirm. You have two sides of a story, so I think it should be confirmed, because I don't want that to be going on, but I also don't want false statement posted all over the internet and people calling me and say, hey, you're responsible if somebody gets hurt out there. I'm like, no, I'm not.
Right. No, they would have insurance to cover their operations out there.
Well, with that said, I attended the Anoka Blaine Airport Advisory Commission meeting, and there were some interesting things came up. The Blaine City Manager, Eric Thoreau, mentioned that Blaine is finally starting to run out of land. So I'm like, finally, because they maybe have room for 20,000 more residents. I'm like, enough. They are getting a Jerry's and the business park. They're going to have a 7-story hotel and increased tourism. 105th should be open by now, they said. He talked about the Anoka County Commissioners' big vote coming up for flock and drones, and Anoka wants to spend almost $2 million, which affects our taxes too, because we are in Anoka County. And these flock and drones have facial recognition, they license plate readers and stuff like that. And I know our commissioner in this area is not going to vote for it. However, if you know people in the Coon Rapids, the Blaine, the Ramsey area, tell those people to call their commissioners and tell them not to vote for this. July 11th, the Flying Cow Airport is having a Father's Day fly-in on June, and then there's another event on June 21st there. The EAA, that's the Young Eagles, that's an amazing program. If you have kids who are interested in flying, they should go. They're having a pancake breakfast on June 27th and something else on June 21st. I can't read my writing. September 19th, there's a big event for girls in aviation because they have a great women's program down there. And what else? On June 19th through the 27th, Blaine is going to be really busy with the Special Olympics. There's going to be over 3,000 flights coming in, transporting all these kids to participate in Special Olympics. So you might want to not be in that area. The airport is getting automated weather observing systems, and 2 of their gates are getting replaced. So, we are still working on this festival for next year, and we are looking for volunteers to participate. Most of the meetings are on Teams, and if you know people who are good organizers of city events, they want this to be pretty big and have ideas, contact me and I'll get you hooked up to attend the next meeting. It's usually the 3rd Thursday at around 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And EAA also has that Learn to Fly program. And I think that's all I've got.
On last Monday, we attended with the Upper Rum River a day out on Lake George, and we were there with Oak Grove City Council. It was nice to meet those people. The Anoka County Conservation Board was out there. Lake Association, 2 residents volunteered their big pontoons, and they took us out, showed us how they checked the water, checked on projects that were being done out on the lake. Learned a lot about the lake and the park system itself. I was, to say, blown away by finding out that they have over 1 million people visit that park a year. That's pretty large number, and they keep that park really nice. So hats off to the Lake Association and everybody over there. We thank them for that. I did want to mention that I coach 8 and under baseball here, and our fields over at Booster are phenomenal. So hats off to Nate and his crew for we're doing a great job over there. So thank you to that. Doesn't make our team any better, but the fields really look good. And that's all I have.
That it? Yes. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
A motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion adjourned.
Did you have something?